people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another episode of Not So Daily Dosage, and I'm looking forward to this one. Coming to you in the morning, recording at night. It's important, it's personal, it's double delight in Dutch for Ligt and Ake, it would seem. And Fabrizio Romano's reporting it, so we gotta talk about it. And I want to delve into why and dissect in my brain cells as to why I think this is actually our top two targets in terms of Ligt and Nathan Ake, and what I'm foreseeing that Tuchel might be aiming to do. And I'm just going to explain tactically what I'm thinking, throw it out there into the wind, and you guys can see if the shit lands, I guess. Do you know what I'm saying? But let's get into the quote from Juventus' CEO in regarding to Ligt last night. Coming to you this morning, as I said, it's impossible to keep players when they want to leave the club, but all three parties in negotiations have to be satisfied, he told Total Sport. Now, that's in regards to Ligt, and Fabrizio also confirms that Nathan Ake is a Thomas Tuchel priority. Now, I've seen in whispers and hushes and tones that we could get three centre-backs. I personally think that would be a waste of resources, especially if that does take away from a potential signing of a wing-back or a DM in this transfer window. I don't think we need three centre-backs when you've got Levi Colwill and Ethan Ampadu coming through the ranks to add to what we already have in Thiago Silva and Chalobah. But let's get into Ligt to start off with. Now, obviously, we know we've been in negotiations for a while. We did the video with the Juventus fan talking about the pros and cons to this signing and the strengths and weaknesses of the player. So this is something that's been going on for quite some time in terms of negotiations. Werner, Pulisic and Jorginho all on the table, it would seem, potentially, reportedly. I don't think Pulisic as much as the other two, for Juventus to choose from in terms of bringing that initial fee down. So we know the finances of the situation. All three parties have to be satisfied as quoted, and we know which part is probably the hold up. Not Ligt, not Chelsea in terms of wanting the player, and it's more Juventus in terms of the fee and the player involved in the swap. And obviously a swap deal is extra complicated. It takes longer to get done. Doesn't happen often, but it is possible. Mkhitaryan to Alexis Sanchez as your example. I want to go straight into where Ligt I see him playing. We spoke to the Juventus fan. He spoke about the middle of a back three as potentially being a position that he could occupy, but he has had errors this season, some mistakes, but again, a very talented individual that Tuchel has been known at Chelsea to improve defenders, work on their errors, cover up their flaws potentially, and, you know, showcase those weaknesses. Rudiger, for example. Rudiger was quite error prone. He had a few mistakes in his game at Chelsea, had a few howlers. I remember at Olympic Park, shocking game against West Ham under Lampard. However, when Tuchel came in, he prioritised his position and put him in a system that covered up flaws and strengthened and showcased the assets of the player. And he's done it with Christensen, and he's got a track record of doing it with all of our defenders really, outside of Silva, who was just a perfect human being. So if you've got a baseline and a foundation of a talented defender, a young talented defender who's got a lot of promise, a lot of potential, I do trust Tuchel to work with that player and to improve them and put them at a world-class level. Ligt could be one of those players. Now, of course, this is a player that has also had a little bit of back three experience with Holland, as we touched on at the weekend, but mostly played in the back four at Ajax and also at Juve. Now, also, on top of this, I want to talk about the fact that I can see him in the centre-back position, actually in the middle of the three. Now, on the right, is he going to be as good as Jules Koundé, the other link that we've had over the last few months, in terms of stepping into midfield, in terms of stepping up, travelling with the ball, dribbling with the ball, going out into the flank, into the right-back positions, and just being that extra centre-back that allows us to progress play and build up play down that right-hand side, as we've done with Trevor Chalobah, creates those triangles, those overloads, and pushes that right wing-back up forward. I don't see him really as that guy. I do see him in the middle a little bit more as that young leader, thinker, but also combative, aggressive defender that he is. Now, I'm sure he will play on the right at times, but I do see him as that long-term Thiago Silva replacement potentially in the middle, especially if not next season, as he's acclimatised into the Premier League, but then the season after, if we're still playing the back three under Tuchel. So that's where I kind of see it. Now, because of the Raphinha link, and we've spoken about it a little bit, Raphinha at right wing back, a lot of people are not impressed. However, I have to, as much as I don't advocate for it, keep letting you know, keep regurgitating this information, is the fact that our wing backs are wingers in our system. We do push them very high up the pitch. They're not defensive. They don't listen to the rivals. We don't play over back five. If you look at the heat maps, if you look at the average positions at times, especially at home against low blocks, those wing backs are right up at the top end of the pitch. Raphinha, as a wing back, would basically be playing as a winger. Chilwell, let's just say starting left wing back, will be playing as a winger, and Raphinha on that touchline in a wing back role out wide would be on the byline there, and he would be able to, take on players, dribble past players, be in his strongest position on the wing, out on the byline, and doing the same things he was doing at Leeds to an extent in terms of his heat map. Of course, the quotes coming out from him as well, talking about the fact with Sky Sports that he respects both sides of the game. He wants to be a player that goes up and down in terms of he wants to, yes, contribute going forward, but he also wants to contribute defensively. He tells me that at times you may see Raphinha at right wing back and Reece James at right side centre back, which leads me to believe that at times you will see Ligt as the middle centre back when Thiago Silva needs resting. And like I said, then Ligt pushes over to the right as he has as Juventus, plays in that back four. Reece James becomes the right back and Raphinha pushes up into the right wing spot. And that is how your defense kind of molds and shapes. And obviously, at times we are looking to see if Tuchel's going to implement that back four. He does do it at times. We've seen the 4-2-2-2 last season, but he wants to keep that pivot. He wants to keep that structure. And we defend with three. We have the two in front. Raphinha could push forward, Reece James could move, Ligt shuffles across, and then a Nathan Ake, who we get into next, is again a defender that Tuchel is prioritising, and a left footer, and again is comfortable in the wide spaces. If you are to flip this, and you now put the same kind of logic that I've applied on the right hand side to the left hand side, you've got a right side centre back in Reece James who is comfortable in the right back position and in the wide areas defending, because he is naturally a right back. Again, not saying this is going to happen every game, but maybe at home against low blocks to get an extra attacker on the field. Raphinha at right wing back, Reece James. And now, as I said, pivot it over to Nathan Ake. If you want to swap it on this side, he's a player that's had experience at left back. He's able to go into the wide positions, and he's also to help create those triangles. Left-footed, can open up the pitch, because maybe Tuchel is slightly concerned that, even though I would prefer Koulibaly because obviously he's a better player, he's a leader, he's at a great age, although Ake's at a good age as well, 27, just not, in my opinion, a leader. Personality-wise, I don't think he brings as much to the team. Talent-wise, don't think he brings as much to the team. But systematically, Tuchel, in my opinion, seems to be going down the line of, I want a left footer, opens up the pitch, switches play, is able and comfortable in that left back area. Should Chilwell bomb forward and the opposite to the right hand side apply, where you need those triangles, you need someone who's going to be facing the play. And yes, Rudiger did it with the right foot, but ideally he wants the left footer. We have Levi Colwill to back him up as long as he remains settled, works hard, grafts, and plays his position as depth to begin with. And hopefully, I would expect talent-wise, as the years go on, minimum a year, but then going into the second, potentially even leapfrog Ake, and then you've got a left footer who's built perfectly for a centre-back in terms of his height, his leap, his strength, his ball progression from that left side of defence, as long as he steps up at the higher level. And again, then you've got two centre-backs that are left-footed, that balance out your team from that perspective. Now, like I said, 40 million is the quote, 40 million euros is the quote, so about 35 million, didn't do the calculator, didn't exchange it on the Googles, but around about 35 million pounds, 34.5 million pounds maybe, for Nathan Ake is the latest fee reported to join from Manchester City. Again, a top Tuchel target. So that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it in my head logically, is what he's maybe trying to align and line up. Obviously, in that right side centre-back position, you've got Trevor, you've got potentially Ethan Ampadu. So if you're not really down with Reece as a right side centre-back, and I can understand you want Reece, forget Raphinha for a second, and Reece goes to right wing-back, then you've got potentially Ethan Ampadu and a seasoned Trevor Chalobah as your starter at right side centre back after a good established first season. Maybe he's going to be having more responsibility to step into that midfield from the right hand side, defend in the wide areas, and if Reece does bomb forward and does push to be the overload on the right hand side, and Raphinha is potentially as a tucked in 10, or Mason Mount, whoever's in them inside 10 positions, then you're going to see Trevor Chalobah and Ethan Ampadu, who's got plenty of experience in the back three and is right-footed and is good on the ball, steps up and become that second choice right side centre back. So just picture it in your head. Potentially you've got Ligt, Silva in the middle. Obviously if Silva plays and he wants to use Ligt on the right, in certain games, maybe away from home, when we're not as aggressive going forward, when we're not trying to overload that centre-back into the midfield areas, and we are maybe at a combative ground where we're going to have to, you know, really dig deep physical duels, and you want that combative defender to go alongside Silva, then you may see De Ligt on that right-hand side. But at home, low blocks, you know, you could see a Reece James, you could see a Trevor, you could see an Ampadu, and then, like I said, you could see a Reece or a Raphinha on the right wing-back spot, and then on the other side, you've got Ake, and again, a little bit of depth for Chilwell if we were to ever switch to a back four at the left-back position, expecting that we sell maybe Emerson or Alonso, if not both, and if you keep Emerson, then Ake's not directly blocked by Emerson because he plays in that back three, but he is the left back cover, Emerson is the wing back cover. So this is just kind of my late night thoughts coming to you in the morning, scrambled out, dashed out into you. And of course, listen, like I said, Ake's not the sexy signing, he's not the exciting signing, but if it does materialise, that's how I envision it a little bit. And of course, with Raphinha at right wing back, again, not really advocating for it because I do want to see him in the final third. I don't want to see him exhausted and just like mentally overloaded with, yes, I know he tracks back and works hard, but I do want his decision making to still be on point, no tired legs. But again, you may see it on occasion. Those games at Stamford Bridge where we have suffered against the low block, and you need to get the extra attacker on the pitch where people want to see 4 attackers on the pitch, they want to see a 4-2-3-1. That is kind of what it becomes. With everybody shuffling across, like I said, Raphinha steps up into right wing, the inside 10 moves into Cam, and the left winger or the left forward moves out to left wing, etc, etc. Chilwell bombs forward, you attack with 5, you defend with 5, the 2 DMs, the Kantes to Jorginhos, maybe the Declan Rice, the Kova, the Gilmore, whoever it may be in there, they sit in front of that 3, build up play, triangles, Ake and say Trevor and Ampadu or De Ligt, they split, and you know how it goes from there. You've watched Chelsea all season. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is a different type of video because I just wanted to get extremely tactical for a second and just get my brain really overheated. And yeah, I am extremely tired. So without further ado, smash up the icons. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Big up your damn selves. Ake, De Ligt. We don't know the De Ligt fee. That's not agreed. Ake's not agreed either, but seems to be around about 34.5 million, which is around about what he's worth in my opinion. So I don't think we're overpaying at 34.5 million, considering they signed him for 40 million euros quoted. So they're losing a little bit of money on him. And like I said, not excited, not even advocating for all of this, but try my best to explain it. Big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace. Perfect.